Hello, hello, vapors out there in YouTube land. I am Chris Jordan. I am the Salty Vapor. We are broadcasting to you from Richmond, Indiana, in the heart of these United States, where it is still, for the short time being, legal to vape. But the legislature here in Indiana will take care of that pretty soon, and it'll, I'm sure, be a felony, a Class A felony to vape if they have their way. They have, and we'll talk a lot about this over the course of the video, but they've passed a law, and Governor Pence, in his infinite wisdom, signed the law, House Bill 1432, which will essentially kill the vaping industry in Indiana. Hopefully, individual vapors can still get juice, but the consequences are going to be severe, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. But lighter topics for the moment. What have I been vaping on while I can still get juice here in Indiana? Still using my Aeolus mod or RDA here. Got the Sigali 100 plus, and I covered up those stupid swooshes with a J-Raps Plumes of Hazard decal. I don't. There's this little part here that this stupid thing that wraps around the front of the screen and everything, and I just hated it. It was terrible. I couldn't get it lined up. It was very stretchy, so I didn't use that at all. Still think it looks quite nice as it is, with just the front and the back. It covers up those stupid swooshy things that were on the 100 watt plus. The 150 watt looks much better, but I don't need 150 watts at this point in time. Maybe someday I will, and I'll pick one of those up. But you know, I vape probably a max of 80 watts, so still got some ceiling left there. So there's that. As far as equipment goes, I've also got my Exome V2 with the Atlantis version 2. Which I've been vaping on quite a bit, and a review will be very shortly forthcoming, perhaps yet tonight. I think definitely this weekend I will do a full review. I did do a first impressions video, but there will be much updating to do as I've been using this tank and putting it through its paces. So couple of quick comments, I suppose, on this device. Great flavor, great vapor. Has leaking around this drip tip, which I assume is condensation, and that it's an issue. So we'll get into that in the full review, among many other things. Still loving the Aeolus. It is just about perfect, in my opinion. The airflow, the vapor, the flavor is so awesome. Does not leak, does not get super hot, especially with this drip tip that I've been using, this Cherry Vapes West Chaser, I believe, drip tip, and just a nice setup, nice flavor. What I've got in here currently in the way of liquid in my dripper, I have been dripping the Milkman. Oh, that is light reflecting like crazy. I don't know if you can see that, but this white bottle is just reflecting the light like there's no tomorrow. So, but yeah, the Milkman. Here, let's focus so you can see this. You can see this bottle here. The Milkman, nice looking plastic bottle. it comes in, which I forgot to bring in with me, but it comes in like a little milk carton packaging, you know, and then the bottle is inside of that. Cute, probably unnecessary, probably added a couple of dollars in cost to the price, so but cute packaging nonetheless. In my Atlantis 2, I have been vaping for the past week. This Dazed and Confused by a company called Skull and Roses, and it's a fruity grape kind of flavor. Kind of reminds me of a grape bubblegum, and I've enjoyed it. So not sure it's one that I would buy a second bottle of, but you know what? I've enjoyed it. I think I like the Milkman better, as far as some of the new juices I've tried. Might be a little bit heavy for the summer though. Like it might be a little bit sweet as it's getting warmer and warmer out. Another new juice I've just purchased is this Gush, which is by Midnight Vapes Co. Midnight Vapes Co. And it is designed to taste like those fruit gusher fruit snack things, and it's also quite good. This one is pretty much gone, but it was Muff Cake by the Steam Factory. Also a very good juice. Very lemony, vanilla-y kind of flavor. You get a little bit of scratchiness in the throat with Muff Cake, I found. I think it's just the citrus, but a good vape overall. And if you like a little more throat hit, you might definitely like Muff Cake. But the flavor is great. It kind of has a lemon cupcake muffin with some you know, vanilla notes. So all solid juices. Still been vaping my standards, Looper and you know, Cutwood Sugar Bear and the Bombi 7 Seas and Blackout City. What else? Have a little bit of Carnage left by Animal also. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to vaping wise. Really like this Milkman. It kind of it's kind of hard to explain. I heard Todd explain it as kind of like a really sweet strawberry milkshake with the strawberry removed, and that's sort of like, and from that you might gather that it sort of tastes like a vanilla milkshake, but there's kind of a fruit tang without it having a fruit flavor. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So it's definitely a milky, creamy, sweet vape, but then there's a little fruit tanginess without it being a very assertive fruit flavor at all. So a very good, very interesting juice. I'm gonna, you know, I just started vaping that today. And so we'll see how, if it develops into one that I'll keep in my rotation. I don't think Todd was very impressed with it, by the way. He said the flavor was cloying and overly sweet, but I've enjoyed it thus far. So moving on to advocacy, a little more serious issues. As I mentioned at the start of the video, House Bill 14432 was passed by the legislature in Indiana, was signed by Governor Mike Pence, and will in all likelihood put most, if not all, the shops out of business in Indiana. And it will do so because it's going to put such strict requirements on liquid companies that they're not going to be able to comply. They're not going to be willing to comply. They're just going to choose not to ship to Indiana. Now, I hope that online sales to individuals will not be affected by this. But what other reviewers, vloggers have been saying in the vape community is that maybe it is, maybe companies will not even ship to individuals. You know, my initial impression was that it was that we're talking about retail shops and what they're allowed to sell, but the bill itself, what I've read online, it doesn't specify online sales, but again, from what the sort of is buzzing around the community, maybe online sales will be affected, which will be devastating for vapors in Indiana. It's hard to imagine what juice companies, if any, are going to be able to comply with these new regulations. Just a host of just craziness with third-party security services, for every liter of e-juice that's manufactured, they have to keep a 10 ml sample bottle in a secure, locked room. They have to pay a $1,000 application fee to the commission in Indiana, the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, whatever it is, for a permit to sell. Just a host of different requirements, and in my opinion, the whole thing was designed to destroy vaping. And you know, possibly it was a revenue type of grab, but normally just a simple revenue bill, we would have been talking about a taxation bill. This is so much more than that, and just it imposes such a high set of expectations on juice manufacturers that most will probably choose just not to sell to Indiana shops, possibly even Indiana residents. Also, in our neighboring state of Ohio, there's some craziness. Governor John Kasich is talking about a 60% tax, but I'm getting off topic a little bit. I guess the question is, in Indiana, will vaping die, and what can we do if we, you know, what's to be done at this point in time? Obviously, the threat to vaping in Indiana by this bill, which goes into effect on July 1st, is very, very real. We're kind of at the damage is done. I think that this took a lot of vendors and organizations by surprise, that Indiana pulled this crap at this stage, and they weren't prepared. And it must be said that retail shops did not do a very good job of organizing in Indiana, with putting forth any kind of serious lobbying effort. The only group that really seemed to do anything was a group called Hoosier Vapers, and they were kind of involved in some of the amendment process, but they ended up losing, essentially, for the most part. So we shall see what happens after July 1st, but my prediction would be that shops will close in by the score. I just don't see very many shops surviving this. I don't see very many juice companies be willing to say, if shops do survive, they're going to survive by selling devices only and not e-liquid. And I don't see how that's a viable option. So what can we do here in Indiana to fight back against this nonsense? As I said, we're kind of at the damage done point, but there are some things that I am definitely going to do, and I would hope that the rest of the vaping community would certainly look at doing. And most of them will involve the 2016 election, but definitely keep your eye on the 2015 local elections also, and always CASA.org. Governor Mike Pence is up for re-election in 2016, and I will vote for whoever his opponent is. I will work to fight his re-election here in Indiana. I will drive people to the polls to vote against him. I will do everything in my power, everything that put all the labor and time that I can into throwing Mike Pence out of office. And I would again encourage all Hoosier Vapors to do so, because he's the sole individual that had the power to stop this legislation. And it actually, this whole business with regulating e-liquids in Indiana started with his attorney general, and moved into the legislature, and they ran with it. And Governor Mike Pence signed this quietly in the middle of the night. I believe it was on a Tuesday. The law will go into effect July 1st. He is one of the most vulnerable governors in the country, for a number of reasons. Now it's still, the election is still a year and a half off, so a lot can happen. But at the current time, Mr. Pence is quite vulnerable, and I think that this is an area where if Hoosier Vapors, not the organization, but just vapors around Indiana, band together and oppose the re-election of Mike Pence, I think that we can make a difference, because I think whoever runs against them, it's going to be a very close contest, and defeating Mike Pence will, while the law may stand, and whoever his opponent is may support the law. My guess is that there might be some lawsuits, there might be some constitutionality issues, but with that said, in my opinion, regardless, because this happened on his watch, he's got to pay the piper. He's got to go. And regardless of his opponent's stance, like I will support. And it must be said that Mike Pence has done a lot of other things that to really hurt the state, and but especially this anti-vaping legislation that his folks have brought up on us is sort of the last straw. So again, I'll do everything in my power to help throw him out of office, and I would encourage the rest of the folks in Indiana to do likewise. Carl Yoder was the representative who I believe that's his name anyway. If I got that wrong, I apologize. His name is definitely Yoder, Yoder. Was the primary author of this legislation, sponsor of this legislation, and certainly he would be another person who I would strongly encourage Hoosier vapors to, and not just those who vape, but folks who value freedom, individual freedom, to make choices like this. I would encourage them to, again, vote against Governor Pence, Representative, or Senator rather, Yoder. And I will be voting against my local representative, Jeff Ratz, who voted yes on the legislation. So, this is just sort of my perspective, but this is when these things happen, and the other things are going to happen in other states as well. We can't just at the point when these pieces of legislation are passed, vapors can't roll over. They can't forget about it and just throw their hands up. We have to fight back. We have to act responsibly, and work the political process for all it's worth, and help to get out the opposition vote, help to essentially punish these folks who have threatened our rights to vape. In Indiana, again, Governor Mike Pence, Senator Carl Yoder, and Representative Jeff Ratz I will do what I can to get those guys thrown out of office. I wish it could happen sooner rather than later. There was actually a petition on MoveOn.org to recall Mike Pence, but as it turns out, there is no mechanism for that to happen, legal mechanism for that to happen in Indiana. So it looks like we'll have to wait till 2016 to send Mr. Pence packing. Continue in Indiana and in every state where these things happen. Continue to write your representatives, to email them, to call them, to express your opposition to these issues. Continue to follow CASAD.org. Check it daily. It's just these things are coming fast and furious, and you have to keep up on what's happening in your state and across the country. Another thing that I would encourage folks to do is to alert your local media when you see your local vape shops close, which they're bound to. Alert your local media. Look, these are people out of work. This is a business closed because of this legislation, because of Governor Pence and House and Senate Republicans and Democrats who sort of, but the Republicans are sort of controlling the mechanism in Indiana, and they were the largest group of supporters. So it's important that there be some consequences for those folks. Moving on to things that the future, I suppose, things that we can do right now on CASA. There is a call to action to support at the federal level, to support House Resolution 2058, which would change the grandfather date for vapor products. And this is gonna be a little bit boring, and I apologize, but I want to get this information out. The FDA Deeming Authority Clarification Act of 2015, which is House Resolution 2058, introduced by Representative Tom Cole of Oklahoma, would save the U.S. vapor industry from being decimated by improper regulations by the FDA. This bill would amend the Food and Drug and Cosmetics Act to change the grandfather date for deemed tobacco products, in quotations, deemed tobacco products. This change would allow for all vapor products currently on the market to remain on the market without being subject to the burdensome, prohibitive pre-market FDA approval application process. This is critical, that we as vapors, especially vapors in Oklahoma, and vapors across the country, encourage your representative, whoever that may be, to support House Resolution 2058. Go to CASAD.org. There is a process for sending an email to do so. You can also of course, do it the old-fashioned way and write a letter. If you want to write specifically to Representative Tom Cole, his information is Rep Tom Cole, 2467 Rayburn, RAYBURN Washington, D.C. 20515. And that information is up on CASAD.org. CASAD.org, I always put their address in my description, so check that out for sure. So I mentioned before that there was a taxation bill in Ohio to tax vapor products at a 60% tax rate, which is outrageous and would have a similar effect to this Indiana legislation to basically kill vaping in Ohio. In my experience, the vaping industry is even more vibrant in Ohio than in Indiana, so it would be hugely damaging. So all you folks over in Ohio, please call your representative, email your representative, get on CASAD.org to do so, and make sure they know your strong opposition to this legislation. And again, I always say this, but continue to monitor your activities, state by state, on CASAD.org, CASAA.org. So this is going to be, we're kind of getting towards the end of this vlog, but I just want to do some quick device/review updates. I am going to move up the Atlantis 2.0 in the review queue. I'm going to do that review, and then I'm going to do the Arctic Tank review, which has been sort of sitting there for a bit. But the Atlantis is a little more popular, a little more relevant at this point. And I'm also going to do kind of a roundup of different sub-ohm tanks, kind of a versus video, and look at the Atlantis versus the Arctic versus the sub tank versus the original Atlantis, and we'll still be looking at that. Devices, as I said, still loving the AOLS. Highly recommend. It's been my I think my favorite RDA to date. My previous favorite was the Troll, which I still highly recommend, especially for the price. The Troll is probably even more of a versatile RDA. This one, the AOLS, is definitely a flavor chasing RDA. You still get nice clouds, but definitely more of a flavor chaser. The Troll, you can open up that airflow wide open and chase those clouds all day, or you can close it down halfway and you get decent flavor. So the Troll RDA is still a great RDA. I like this. I like this Plumes of Hazard wrap that we got going. I will say that customer service at J Wraps, they are they are very, very slow. Slow to the point where I would be hesitant to order anything from them again. It took them 6 days to process my order. And in this day and age, like 6 days is too much to send out some decals. And I told them this, and they gave me this song and dance about how busy they are and how many wraps they're selling, and 350 to 500 wraps that they ship per day. To which I say that's not my problem. If you're doing so well, that means you're making lots of profits. Hire more people, buy more printers, do what you can. Don't make people wait for 6 days for an order to be shipped out. It's ludicrous. Most companies, most good companies get things in 1 to 2 business days. And that's kind of what I expect. They say on their site 3 to 5 days to get orders out, which is bad enough, but this was, right at 6 days, between 5 and 6 days, depending on when you count the time cutoff. But that's, unless you're ordering something from Japan or China, I would anticipate that that things could get shipped out sooner than 6 days. But I don't want to belabor the point, but I was just sort of disappointed by how long it took J Wraps to get an order out. They are definitely the slowest vendor I've dealt with to date. I think the quickest vendor, on a positive note, has been my Vaper store. .com. They get things out the next day, and it just gets to you so fast. Like they ship priority, and things get here. I literally ordered something on a Friday and got it on the following Monday. Like, that's sort of how fast they get things out. So kudos to my Vaper store. E-Ciggity does a nice job. Giant Vapes, all good companies. The Milkman is good. I do enjoy the Milkman thus far. I think that will be about it for this vlog. I will update you on the Atlantis 2.0 in my very next video, and we will go from there. But I appreciate your joining me here for this vlog. I appreciate any subscription activities and liking the videos and so on. If you do in fact like them, I try to provide good information. But again, just have a great weekend, have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Salty Vapor. Goodbye.